The Course of the Inevitable is the official fourth studio album by Mr. Lloyd Banks himself. That's right, with 50 Cent pretty much being a meme lord at this point. The game retired from rap in 2019, and Young Buck dropping many mediocre projects. This lyrical underdog from the G Unit crew has finally made his highly anticipated comeback album. Lloyd Banks is someone who a lot of rap fans are familiar with, especially those who were very lucky and in a way fortunate enough to witness the very strange era of rap and just music in general that was the early 2000s. In my opinion, one of the most least lyrical eras of hip hop that was the early 2000s. It seemed that a lot of artists, when they were first starting out in the early 2000s, they were just pretty much having fun, which, to be honest, it wasn't anything bad. Like you really see a lot of rappers these days just have a lot of fun with their music as well. But at the time, they were like just really just fucking around. Like they weren't really expecting to blow up. Is the reason why so many of them turned out to be one-hit wonders, and a lot of them aren't really as relevant as they were before. They weren't meant to be relevant, unfortunately. Even if they tried now, even if they have matured and want to make a really dope album, I don't think many people would welcome them with open arms. And although many people do give Kanye West some rightfully deserved credits for being ahead of his time when he first dropped the College Dropout in the early 2000s, personally, when I was in middle school getting into hip hop and looking at that strange era of the early 2000s, I found myself truly admiring the very underrated talent that is Lloyd Banks. As someone who has been an important member in G Unit and ended up working alongside many other talented rappers, including Mobb Deep and Scarface, Eminem, The Lox, Rakim, you know, Lloyd Banks has been around and he has been doing a lot of shit with different artists. And in my opinion, I always saw him as a very criminally underrated rapper. Most people were really focused on, the Game and 50 when it came to the whole G Unit crew. And although I really did enjoy what they had to contribute to the group, they honestly were like one of the best main attractions throughout the whole group when they were still together. In my opinion, Lloyd Banks was like the one that was sort of like also carrying the weight of that group on his shoulders as well. He always came through with very clever punchlines. He had a really great flow. He was just a fucking lyrical monster, and his fucking hunger for more was just very alive back then. And in a year like 2021 where it seems and in a year like 2021 where rap music has really been shitty, there hasn't really been that many good rap music. Lloyd Banks' new album is every rap fan's dream. Like, this is what people have been waiting for when they talk about, bring back the lyrical shit of hip hop and just bringing back the real hip hop. This is Lloyd Banks. This is Lloyd Banks' first release since 2010's Hunger for More 2, I believe. That album did really good. I hear nothing but good things about Lloyd Banks' past projects, which rightfully so, because he has dropped some of the best music during his time. And so, yeah, it basically means that it took him nearly a decade to make his modern album perfect. And to be honest, I would say that this album was definitely worth the wait. If there's something that can be said that has always been true about Lloyd Banks, is that he definitely never fucked around when it came to his success and when it came to, the music that he dropped. And this album is no different whatsoever, as his hunger for more is now more alive than ever. Lloyd Banks' flow and lyricism is better than ever as he raps over boom bap style beats with a modern twist. That's the most beautiful part about this project, is that, it really doesn't sound like an album that was supposed to come out in the early 2000s. It actually sounds like a true modern Lloyd Banks album. I personally feel that this is a very good definition and example of what many OG rappers should see when it comes to them adapting to modern day times. Lloyd Banks did it fucking perfectly. It sounds very modern. Like he definitely has adapted well. He definitely sounds like one of these like new cats that have been like doing their thing in modern day times. You know, Lloyd Banks just it truly sounds like Lloyd just never left, if that makes sense. The beginning track entitled Propane just really hits you with that sort of nostalgia in a way. You know, Lloyd Banks does come back with that like very aggressive, like gritty voice and everything, you know, and it just sort of like takes you back to those G Unit days and just back to like the early 2000s where if you like dug deep into the hip hop world, that you would find these rappers that are ahead of their time. You know, like rappers like Lloyd Banks and Kanye West, who became a lot more lyrical. You know, who like rapped about what's really going on in their lives. People took their who pretty much took their music seriously and showed that it's more than just fun and games for them. Like this is their passion, and you can truly hear the passion in Lloyd Banks' voice in this album, and just in the beginning track of the album as well. Now more than ever, I would say that the first half of the project is where Lloyd is being this lyrical, like in your face monster. He like comes back for revenge and everything. He definitely like makes up for the past decade of not dropping anything new, and not even like doing any features here and there. He definitely does make it up to us. It definitely, like I said, it definitely feels like Lloyd never left and everything, and it truly just makes you happy to see that after all these years, Lloyd is still like the fucking lyrical monster that we all knew and love. And as for the other half of the album, that's where Lloyd gets a lot more serious, and like he like spits all the wisdom that he's learned and everything. He definitely took like this whole decade of not doing anything to like truly reflect on his life and everything, like try and better and improve himself. And I really love all the wisdom that he spat on here. Like talking about past losses, like all these like young rappers that unfortunately like died too soon and everything. Sort of like giving also his respect to like these modern rappers that have, for the most part, been carrying the rap game in a very good way. Obviously there were like a few like bad eggs here and there, but for the most part, he is giving the new school like a very like strong and a respectable tribute, because regardless of what anybody wants to say, I would personally agree that some of these new school rappers have fucking like done a really good job in like carrying hip hop's legacy. Lloyd even touches a bit on the losses of like his friendships and everything. It's just it just kind of sucks that you know the whole G Unit gang just isn't really on speaking terms anymore. But at the same time, it sort of makes you happy to see that they at least found a way to be okay with it and still move on with their lives and just drop beautiful projects like this one. I also really love the production value on here, because Lloyd has always been the type of guy to shine a light to other hungry artists, especially producers. Lloyd is someone that truly understands that a producer is one of the most important parts when it comes to a rap album. Sure, the rapper is the reason why you go see it, but the producer is someone that puts in the work. The reason why you really enjoy all these catchy tunes and just these catchy beats and everything. Every song on here has at least like one or two like underground and just new like producers, and to be honest, they definitely worked well on here. They added so many different shit to this. They have a little bit of boom bap here, a little bit of like some acoustic like sort of like violins here and everything. They just added so many different instrumentals that it truly like feels like something new that we haven't heard before, not just this year but just in hip hop in a long time. Sort of bringing back that lost forgotten golden era of hip hop. And the features on this album are definitely something you would expect when it comes to a Lloyd Banks album. There really isn't that many features on here, which I personally love, because I truly feel that Lloyd is the main attraction throughout this whole album. But the few features that he did add on here were definitely smart and were definitely the right picks when it comes to a modern Lloyd Banks album. For example, both Freddie Gibbs and Benny the Butcher show up on this project. Two of probably one of the most like respected modern rappers that we have right now. I think one thing that can be said for sure is that although this year has been kind of a crappy year for rap, I would say that not only do the Griselda boys have been like really carrying the rap game on their shoulders, but Freddie Gibbs has also been doing really, really well so far. You know, he's truly been like making a name for himself. You know, I love Freddie Gibbs on this album. You know, he like worked so well with somebody like Lloyd Banks. You know, he sounded like he should have belonged in G Unit. And as for Benny the Butcher, you know, his fucking lyricism just keeps fucking getting better than ever. You know, he just really like knows how to like work his way around any beat that he like is on, you know. And you know, next to Lloyd Banks, you know, Lloyd and Benny just sound like this very like dynamic duo, and just this very deadly duo that we never thought we needed, but we always fucking wanted. You know, I really do appreciate Lloyd, you know, given, you know, his respect to not only a lot of modern rappers on this like in this world, but you know, I'm personally glad that he specifically gave these two a chance to be on his project, because to be honest, I think that these two were like, you know, the only ones that, you know, in modern day times that I think would work well with somebody like Lloyd Banks. And then there's the very nostalgic reunion with Styles P, someone who is a highly respected member from the rap group The Locks, a group that Lloyd Banks has worked with before in the past. They come together and they make this like very traditional, like, you know, sort of like hardcore gangster rap song. You know, you know, it's on a beat that's like very hardcore and very dark. You know, it almost sounds like something that Dr. Dre would have done back in the day. You know, something that he would have done back with the Chronic, or the Chronic 2001. You know, it really does sound like they were on a Dre track. And it just really just gives you this, like, you know, nostalgic feeling of how rap used to be back in the day. You know, not only back in the early 2000s, but like back in the late 90s as well. You know, Styles P has done styles like this many times with the Locks, especially. You know, they both really like give this like really dope fucking like classic New York gangsta like rap style that I really fucking appreciate. You know, these two have done many songs together, and I'm just glad that they finally came back to reunite, to give not only OG rap fans what they've been missing, but modern rap fans a taste of what they've missed if they didn't get a chance to hear the golden era of rap. And just a quick little shout out, I did really appreciate Rock Marcy and CRE the Kid, including their very emotional hooks on their features on this album. You know, I haven't really like heard much of them. You know, I never really gave them a try. But this album makes me want to, because they have really great singing voices, and they definitely contributed well to the whole theme of this project. And that's exactly it. The theme of the project is the title of it itself, the course of the inevitable. You know, just pretty much letting that happen. You know, going through all these trials and errors. You know, going through all this like pain and suffering, and just eventually letting life like play its course. You know, it may be painful at first. You know, like you have to suffer losses and everything, and you know, you have to suffer you have to suffer a lot of backlash, and you may have to lose a few friends along the way. But at the same time, you know, eventually the outcome is going to be a lot more better for you. I think that's what Lloyd was like trying to like portray throughout this whole project. You know, he hasn't dropped anything since 2010. You know, around that time is when G Unit had like its big fight and breakup. But you know, to this day, I don't think any of them are like on speaking terms anymore. And obviously, it definitely like played a big toll on a lot of them. You know, 50 is not even doing music anymore, I don't think. You know, the game finally retired, and you know, Young Buck has just pretty much been doing his own thing, where it's like, you know, like I kind of haven't really been liking what he's been doing. And you know, as for Lloyd Banks, it seemed that he was really just had his heart set on just not doing any music anymore, because he does not have the chance to do this with his friends anymore. You know, the people that he came up with. And this whole project just really like has just really portrays that whole, like, you know, a reflection of Lloyd Banks reflected on his life for this past decade. And I think it turned out very fucking well. You know, it's a very beautiful project. I enjoyed every track on here. It is an hour long, but it's an hour that is worth fucking listening to, and it's an hour that you fucking just invest into. So definitely shout out to Lloyd Banks. He came back and just came back with a very like great album. You know, an album that is a great modern album. You know, it doesn't sound like he is stuck in the early 2000s. You know, it's, you know, Lloyd Banks definitely adapted well to modern day times, and he definitely has created, in my opinion, the best rap album this year so far. And if you don't know who Lloyd Banks is and you've never heard of him, please go listen to this project, because he is a fucking pioneer and someone who is worth listening to. And because of that, I am giving this album a 10 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. What did you guys think about this album? Have you heard it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What are your favorite tracks? What are your least favorite tracks? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I would like to hear your opinions about it. And with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the button below, all that good stuff. And don't forget to stay happy.
It's like I'm living a dream, that's how to reach. I've been cooking like Walter and Jesse B. Kisses, I ain't trying to be a prodigy. Past deep.